Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Untold. It's the show we have amazing people discussing their journeys. Of course, I'm here with Simi Abdullah Al-Ajmi. So thank you for joining us on a brand new episode.
Yes, welcome, dear viewers, and welcome, Simi, and thank you for introducing me. And today we have Ali Alamdar, an artist, and I'm looking forward to see what he has, what's his journey in life, and what's the untold journey behind this person.
We are very curious. Hopefully the audience are curious. We're going to take a break before we talk to him.
And welcome back, dear viewers, to another episode of The Untold. And today we have with us Ali Alamdar, an artist. Welcome to the show, Ali.
Thank you very much for having me. It's great being on the show.
Well, thank you for being here. Now, artists, I think every time we have artists here on The Untold, they always share a very unique experience, a very unique way of looking at life. And for you, I would say it's extraordinary because you look at life as moments. You look at life not as years or timelines, but through memories. Can you talk us or elaborate more on how you perceive life and memories?
So basically, usually people perceive life as one continuous thing. But for me personally, it's just a bunch of different moments, especially the big ones that I recognize that they've changed my life in hindsight. For example, I remember exact dates when things happened. I remember exact situations or where I was when something happened or like when I got a phone call. So there's always this like before this happened and then after this happened. That's how I schedule my life, basically. That's how I see it.
It's actually fascinating that you actually, for me myself, I see life as a continuous timeline. But you actually remember things vividly, even objects at rooms and different environments. Exactly. Can you explain to us that aspect?
Yeah, for example, the first time I did a portrait drawing, that's what started all of this. That's the reason I'm sitting in the chair right now, was June 8th, 2016. So there was my life before June 8th and then my life after June 8th. And for some reason, dates really stick with me. For example, I can remember when I took specific pictures on my album. So like I have 50,000 pictures on my photo album, and I remember where each one is, but like by segments, kind of.
I think maybe your brain is wired differently. Like you remember the exact date, like 2016, like you said,
Yeah.
and I think that's actually amazing how you remember the exact dates and the exact timeline of the event. And you said your life changed after a certain portrait
Right.
you drew.
Yes, that's when I realized I liked drawing portraits. Like I woke up one day and I can draw a face. I was like, cool, let me try that again, and I did, and I did it over and over again. And then I dove deep into the entire art world, and I started oil painting. And then all of a sudden it got really serious, and I'm way too deep in. I can't get out now.
Is there a reason, or maybe an explanation behind why some visuals, some moments, some memories, some specific dates stick with you and you can remember them, pinpoint them, and then others don't have as much significance to them?
Right, because I mean, most days are just routine. Nothing really shocking happens.
Yeah.
It doesn't really need to be shocking in a bad way, just like something that gives you more emotions than a normal day would. For example, in 2020, I remember exactly where I was when Kobe Bryant passed away. I was driving on the highway going to get some meat from the butcher store. So like I remember moments like that because it was such a shocking experience. And the painting or the first drawing I did, because it was the first one, so it's easy to remember. And also I can remember things based on my art style at the time, which is really weird. But I remember that I had different ways of painting, and I remember different events from that phase of my life just because of the way that I painted.
Ali, many people think life changes because of maybe big events and big decisions happen. Looking back at your own story, what's the biggest misconception about how change actually happens?
I mean, change happens very, very gradually. Obviously, the big events do change your life, but it's more clear. Like it's obvious that something would happen or something would change if something big happened. But all of my life, the things that led me to be here were things that I didn't really pay attention to at the time. Like I bought a briefcase full of art supplies randomly. I never thought about it. I just somehow it just led me to get to this point. and also meeting my role model. It shouldn't have meant anything. Realistically, it would have just meant a good picture and a good story to tell, but somehow led me to changing my entire life, and that's why I started drawing. So I feel like people should really focus on the small moments more than the big ones. The big ones, they're obvious, like, cool, you graduate, your life is going to change, but there's nothing special about it.
Now, speaking about the big moments and the small moments, you said that one day you woke up and you could see a face, and then you could make that face, right? You could paint that face, you could do it. And then after you found that you have this kind of talent, you have this kind of, I would say, almost superpower, like, have you, taken classes to nurture it? Have you taken, workshops, or have you just gone with whatever you're feeling and then just let the experience, shape itself and improve itself?
So most of my work has been completely self-taught. As I get into a subject, I get extremely obsessed with it. So I want to learn every aspect of it. But I did take 2 art workshops, so 6 hours in total with the Canadian artist Reza at Den Gallery here in Kuwait, and that's the reason I started oil painting. He taught me the foundations of it, and I'll never forget that. But also, I have a lot of mentors, a lot of people who support me. My father, for example, the people at Den Gallery, which is an art gallery here in Kuwait, all of them have been extremely supportive of me and my work, and thankfully they nurtured me to get to this point. But in terms of like the technical aspect, it's just practice and experimentation. I don't feel like you need many classes. Obviously you need role models to look up to, and you can find that everywhere online, or if you have one in person, that becomes easier.
Ali, your life is full of maybe coincidence that don't quite feel like coincidence. Do you believe we notice meaning because we are looking for it, or because some moments genuinely arrive when we are ready for it to arrive?
I mean, it depends on the type of person you are. I feel like back then I just let life happen and I wasn't looking for meaning. But now since I became a storyteller and I want to tell better stories and understand why things happen, I do consciously look for stories. But sometimes you can't even, the harder you look, the more blind you get. Because as I said, most of my life changed because of small moments that I could not make sense of. For example, in 2024, I was supposed to go do my master's, but that fell through. And during that time, my grandmother gave me an amount of money that, just to help me with my journey, that was useless. So I had to go exchange it to Kuwaiti dinars, and the bills had marks on them. So the exchange stores wouldn't take them. So I went to the one place that I knew would, which is in Barkia. And being there, I went to the exchange market, gave them the money, got mine. And then all of a sudden, my dad's cousin walked in, he saw me and he told me to go look at the gold stores to invest. I was like, cool, let me go check that out. And then I stumbled upon watches, like all my dream watches in a store. And when I get obsessed with something, I need to see it over and over again. So I kept going back just to look at the watches, and then from there I started getting an appreciation of the place. And due to that, I loved the place so much, I did a full art series about it, and then did my second solo show completely about Barkia. So like, if you really think about it, the solo exhibition happened because I had money that I couldn't exchange somewhere else. So if I could have exchanged it at a different store, none of what happened would have happened. I could not plan that. It is impossible.
If you told me the story, I would say that's a coincidence. But when you actually say it, I don't feel like anything you said is actually a coincidence.
Everything
It all happened because something. It's like a domino effect.
Exactly.
Everything is happening because something else happened to you in that exact time.
Exactly.
It is, mashallah, you can never know how amount of small choices can alter your life and lead to making drastic changes. Like you said, you're just trying to exchange money. You ended up making an entire show about it.
Exactly.
Now, when it comes about the kind of stories that you'd like to tell with your art, can you tell us more about the stories that connect with you, the stories you feel like you want to connect with the people about it?
So the story that I started with was the beauty in imperfections, because people tend to like dismiss that, but I see so much beauty in it. And as I grew, I realized it's more about the beauty in the scars left behind from things that tried to erase you or like break you. That's why I love Mbarkia so much, because it's very authentic. There are a lot of scars and they don't hide them. But if you go somewhere else to a polished mall, for example, there's just not that magic. So I try to convey that magic in my work. I try to show the authentic sides of life, and it focuses mostly on me as a person and my emotions, but then I turn that into something universal.
Yes, Ali, Houston was originally somewhere you desperately wanted to leave, yet it became home.
Right.
Have you have you learned not to judge a chapter early on because of that?
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes I judge way too fast, and then like I just hate my life. I become miserable, but then somehow everything works out in the end. So as I grew, I learned to just trust the process. It always just works out. And that's like a message I would like to give everyone. Just don't judge things too early. Just let them unfold, and then if you don't like them, you can change them easily in the future.
Have you ever had, that kind of motto challenged, where you were trusting the process, but then something really, out of the left field came and then you had to tackle with it, deal with it?
Yeah, obviously there are many times where I trusted the process and just didn't work out because God didn't want them to work out, which is not a problem. Everything that happens for a reason, and every time something fails, something better comes in its place. Obviously, I've told this story before, but I was supposed to go do my bachelor's in 2018 when I graduated high school, but due to some technicalities, I couldn't go that year. That was completely unexpected. I did everything in my power to go back and do my college education, but due to that, that's why I discovered my art style currently. So if that big event didn't happen, if my plans weren't messed with, then I would not be an artist. So everything bad that happens, something replaces it.
It's amazing how you actually explain it. Like if it didn't happen, God didn't want it to happen. So you just move on with life. This is like you're content with everything that happens. Either it happened for a negative or positive event in your life. Either way, you're content with it. You're accepting it, and as life goes on, you actually learning from your experiences, which is actually amazing. But unfortunately, we're out of time for now. But we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. Now, Ali, I do want to ask you about something. It's on the personal side of things, but I think it's a very interesting side to discuss. You mentioned how there are 6 months where you have memory loss and can't recall them at all. Can you tell us more about those 6 months and your experience in dealing with such a large gap of memory loss?
Yeah, it was a weird thing that happened in 2021. I was going through a lot mentally, and I feel like my brain just shut off and went into autopilot to keep my life going. So I can't really remember a lot that happened from July to maybe like December. There's only two things that I remember from November, but one of them is buying my watch, and then another one was a more traumatic experience. I went to a concert and almost died, but that's a story for another day. But it is really weird because you know you're alive and there's proof of your existence, obviously, and the work that you do and your presence in general, but not remembering things for 6 months. Like I look back and I just do not remember anything that I went through. The way that I do remember is I look back at the work that I've made at that point. So it becomes kind of like time traveling to a period of time that I mentally was not present in, which is really weird. Like I can't even remember the works that I made. I just go on my social media profiles and look for that time period, and I could find them and be like, I went through that. So even if you don't have memory of certain times, it doesn't mean that you weren't there. The residue that you leave behind with the work that you create or the situation you go through still carry on in your life.
Like I said, that was 6 months that you actually don't remember anything that happened during that that period. But what about your friends and family? Did they ask you, did they tell you stuff that you actually, is there any story that happened in that time that you actually, after later on, after these 6 months, maybe someone asked you, do you remember doing that thing? Do you remember doing that?
Nothing. It's kind of weird. Like there's nothing in my brain. Usually, as I said, I remember everything that I go through. But those 6 months, I just do not remember anything. I just remember it through pictures and the work that I created. That's literally it. But in my brain, it's just like a dark, empty spot.
Did your life change after that, or?
Not much, but obviously just the regular progression of life. I don't think anything massive happened, but you know, I created more work. I kept going, and now we're here. So yeah, I think that really changed the way that I think.
And does your artwork from that period where you don't recall a lot reflect that memory loss? Like, is there a difference in the art that you produced during that time and the art that you usually produce?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, the art that I produced during that time was visually dark. Not in terms like of the concept, but like visually, the colors were a bit darker. And I realized that every time I go through a certain situation, that's what happens. Whenever I'm happy, the colors are more like yellow, pinks, and fun colors. And then when I'm going through bad situations, like I don't even think about it consciously. It's just something that happens. For some reason, I just like those colors at those specific times. So in 2021, I had a lot of dark, like blue, purple colors that I created. So yes, it does reflect.
Ali, sometimes paintings express things that word can't express. Do you think like paintings and painting has become a way for you to remember things that your mind can't sometimes?
Absolutely. For me, it feels like a way of venting. It's a way of releasing things off my chest. So for example, every time I go through a situation that I just don't want to carry in my heart, I just paint about it until there's nothing left to say. Like I get to a point where I'm like, yo, this is completely done. Like it doesn't take any part of my brain anymore. And I've healed myself, as cliche as that sounds. I don't like cliches, but I've healed myself through my art many times. Especially in my 2023 series Facade, which talks about my fear of death and health anxiety and all that. It did amazingly for the way that I think and the way that I don't know, grasp the concept of mortality.
Yeah, I think those are a lot of deep and heavy topics that, you know, on the Untold, it's a little bit on the lighter side of things.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you about your color selection, because you said a very interesting point. You said that whenever you're feeling, you know, cheerful and happy, you go with brighter colors. Whenever you're feeling a little bit more on the brooding side of things, you go with darker colors. Now, when it comes to actually picking those colors, do you go with what you're feeling? Like you see a dark blue and then it just feels right? Or do you have specific colors that you like to go whenever you're feeling those things?
No, that's the funny part. I don't plan it at all. It's just something that happens. Like something in my brain just gets convinced that these are the colors that need to be used. It's not something that I plan. It's just something that happens by itself, especially with the music that I listen to. Sometimes I listen to Disney music and you can easily tell when I am. The colors are so bright, so colorful. And then whenever I listen to something else, the colors kind of a bit get toned down. So it's not something that I consciously think of. It just happens. I don't know how it does, but your body just like, especially when I paint, I try to turn off my brain and my hand just takes over, and that's what it does.
Ali, you met a lot of heroes. I would say you've been a lot of like you've been through a lot in life, and you rebuilded yourself many times. I would say, which version of Ali you would feel the most compassion for?
The version of me that was 5 years old, or like a kid in general that wanted to be heard, because I felt like, I don't know, I've always felt different from other people. Like I knew answers to questions that people much older than me just didn't have. It's a weird thing to say, but as a kid, I knew how to make everything better, but nobody would listen to me because I was a kid, which is very understandable. But then as I grew, I got the freedom to do what's in my brain, and I achieved every single dream I had. So like if they listened to me as a kid, I would have changed people's lives in a way. So that's the person I feel the most compassionate towards. And it's still the engine that drives everything that I do. I just want to be heard. I just want to be trusted with my decisions, and everything. Like I'm gonna turn things to gold, hopefully.
Hopefully. And so do you still have those kind of, you know, doubts where you're constantly trying to be heard?
I think if we really are honest about it and dive really deep into it, yeah, probably. That's why I do the things that I do. I just want to be heard. I just want to be given the opportunity to express myself in a way, I don't know, that's very creative. So that's the engine that runs the entire show for me.
Some people live their life chasing certainty, but you've been almost built on uncertainty. Have you become comfortable with not knowing what's going to happen next?
Absolutely not. No, that's not something that changes. Obviously, the fear of unknown is probably the most normal fear that humans can have. the unknown is scary. But what changed was that I trust life a lot more now. I trust God that he'll just guide me towards where I want to go. So I've lived 25 years and everything ended up working out perfectly, which even during times where I thought they wouldn't. So what changed was the certainty that things work out, but not certainty itself. Like everything is unknown. I don't know what might happen tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, alhamdulillah, you know, if you trust, like you say, if you trust the process, if you trust that everything is going to end up being well, you know, no matter how many ups and downs you go through, eventually you're going to land in where you're supposed to be. And, you know, as always, we always say, alhamdulillah for everything.
Right.
Now, I do want to ask you about something, is that because of your memory process and how you visualize things, and you've learned about this from such a early age, do you now in your everyday life perceive the world differently? Like now, if you take a picture or if you look at the studio, you know something's gonna stick, so you actively try and look deliberately or not look deliberately, or it hasn't been affected or changed?
Oh no, I definitely look at life with more romanticism, I guess. I try to find the story in the tiniest things, like this table in front of us. I try to put myself in the position of somebody who designed it, and then like he put the proposal in to his boss, and then that turned into the manufacturing process. And I'm wondering if they, I don't know, imagine they'd be in a studio with us doing the interview. And it just makes me look at life completely differently. Just try to come up with the stories and try to come up with meaning for everything.
Ali, some people visit your exhibitions and they pick some of your paintings for themselves. But what if instead they would walk through your memories? Which one would you explain you better as an artist than any other painting?
Oh, I think the minute I stepped foot into Houston for the first time, that's when my life completely changed upside down. That's when the uncertainty began. That's where the storytelling really started. That's where everything kind of began. That's where the obsession really took hold of me. So if you wanted to explain my entire life, you'd go, when was it? It was like June something 2013 when I got to Houston. So that day is where everything changed, and I'd love to have that remembered by people forever.
I mean, Houston is an amazing city. I've been there once, and
Really?
the food is absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have your experiences there, I'm sure. But, you know, we're talking about Houston, such a beautiful town. We're getting sideways. But I do want to come back to your talent, you know, your superpowers that we're discussing here. So where do you think that the future lies for this kind of things that you have for your art, the next evolution of Ali?
That's the funny part. I don't know. That's the beautiful part about it, because as we said, the more you plan, you can't really plan things like that. You just have to go with it and see where it goes. But hopefully I evolve into different mediums, maybe apply the knowledge that I have in my art and the storytelling in different ways, maybe during a job, or with maybe music, or direct videos or movies, or create a book. So the possibilities are completely endless, and I just can't wait to see where it goes.
Yeah, regarding Houston, Abdallah, actually never been to the States. I wish I could go. It would be an amazing experience. This is a side topic, but many people believe life is planned through maybe discipline and control. What myth about control has your own journey completely dismantled?
Control does not exist. It's just an illusion. It does not exist. You can do everything perfectly, and then just something happens that throws a curveball at you, and you cannot control it. My 2018 story was the biggest example. I mean, I did everything right. I passed school. I got good grades, but then the scholarship didn't happen. Like, there was no way I could have controlled that. I controlled what I can, and then life just decided that it's not time yet. So don't aim for control, which is crazy coming from me because I love control. The reason I'm scared of health related issues is because I can't control my body. That's the scariest part. But try to let go of control. Just give up, and life just carries you to magical destinations.
It's actually deep, and it's something to think about.
It is. And, you know, going back to the topic of being afraid of the unknown, being afraid, you know, being a very health aficionado, I'd say you're missing quite a bit because, you know, I just had 2 cheeseburgers last night and I couldn't care twice about health.
Yeah.
And I know it's the wrong thing to say, but honestly, this is, I'm sure I'm maybe 15 years older than you. This is just my message to tell you that, you know, there's nothing to be scared of, right?
Right.
You're going to go through this journey. So just might as well enjoy it, no matter how offering it has. But also you seem to be very aware of your surroundings, very aware of your journey, very aware of your talents. So mashallah, a man of so many talents. And we also do want to thank you for being here with us on the Untold. This has honestly been a very great and very highly entertaining conversation. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is a lot of fun, and hopefully we can do this again in the future.
Thank you for being with us and sharing your experience. It was truly fascinating.
Thank you very much.
And with that, dear viewers, stay tuned for After the Break.
Well, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that was all of the time we've had here with Ali Alamdar. Honestly, a very intriguing and interesting personality, individual to talk to. I've had a great time talking with him.
Yeah, same. It was an interesting personality, an interesting person. He perceives life differently than the rest of us. He sees it as not a timeline, but actually different memories. And it was an experience talking to him and learning his story.
Yeah, it's a very unique story. You know, we are very happy that we gave him a platform to be heard because he emphasized how important that is. So hopefully the audience have heard him. Hopefully the audience are hearing us. But with that being said, I think that's it from us. It's sign out from the team of The Untold. Until next episode, goodbye, ladies and gentlemen.
Goodbye.